Hello and welcome to the Frontington and Backwoods Railway, where there's something different. Something new. Something unexpected. You know what? I'm going to stop there for a moment. You've probably seen the thumbnail for this video already, so you likely already know what the shiny new thing is. I know that. You know that. I know that you know that. But for the sake of telling a good story, let's just pretend that you don't know. Yet. We'll get there, I promise. So this isn't actually the video I was expecting it to be. The next thing on my to-do list was to sort out the scenery around this corner of the layout. It's a bit of an odd shape, so I thought the best plan would be to use CAD. That's cardboard-aided design, in case you were wondering. Essentially, a cereal box was rescued from the recycling pile to create a series of templates. Since this scenery is right at the back of the layout, I wanted them to be removable modules, so that I can work on them on the workbench without having to lean over everything else to get to them. And once the templates were made, I transferred them onto plywood and cut them out. But that's as far as I got, because it was at this point that I finally made my long-awaited purchase and derailed my original video plan. Here's what arrived in the post. Now, I know some people really enjoy unboxing videos. I'm not one of those people. I'm afraid I usually skip over drawn-out unboxings so that I can just see what's inside. If you like unboxing videos, then I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. If you're like me, you're welcome. It's a Great Western 6400 class pannier tank. Not to be confused with the 5700 class pannier tank, although admittedly they do look very similar. You'll notice the 6400 has a rounded cab roof, as opposed to the 5700's squared-off cab. And the tanks on the side are slightly smaller. And while the 5700 was given a blue route restriction, the 6400 was dropped down to yellow on account of being 2.5 tons lighter. That's the same weight as 25 full-size grand pianos. Though thankfully not at 00 scale, otherwise my layout would be flattened. My replica railway's 5700 class, seen here on the right, was one of the original locomotives from my childhood layout, so it has a special place in my heart. But it doesn't run on my current layout, for several reasons. Firstly, it's a split chassis model, which is not easy to put a DCC chip into without serious surgery. To the locomotive, I mean. Secondly, the motor was always a little on the noisy side, especially by modern standards. And to be honest, after all those long years of hard service, the mechanism had gotten rather worn. But you may have spotted this locomotive on the layout from time to time, in the background, but only as a static model, as I've actually taken the motor and gearing out for the moment. That means it can freewheel, so I can pretend it's double-heading with another locomotive. But this video isn't about my 5700 class pannier tank, so let's get back on topic and talk about Platform 1. Bear with me. The original plan for this iteration of the layout always featured this small bay platform. There's no runaround here, and it's quite short. From buffers to the signal, it's 40 centimetres, which in 00 world is 30.5 metres. If you don't think in metric, that's roughly 1.3 tennis courts. And that's just enough room for maybe 3 or 4 wagons. Or 3 wagons and a locomotive. Or 1 wagon and 2 locomotives. Or an HST power car and a Satsuma. Okay, forget that last one, that's ridiculous. That wasn't a 00 scale Satsuma at all. More importantly though, there's room for a small locomotive and a single coach. But not just any coach, an autocoach. I happen to have an autocoach already, which pairs up to my new locomotive nicely, because the 6400 class was equipped with some fancy gubbins that allowed it to be driven from the cab of the autocoach. In one direction, the train would be driven normally, but in the opposite direction, the driver could be in the cab of the autocoach, and using a series of rods and connections, he'd be able to control the regulator and apply the brakes and such like. It's like remote control for trains, which we model railway enthusiasts can surely appreciate. So now I have an autotrain, and it's lovely. But we need to talk about that autocoach. I haven't forgotten about the shiny new locomotive. I will get back to that soon, I promise. But that autocoach. Let's start with the good points. It does look like an autocoach, and I got it free, which is always nice. I have painted the interior and added people. And because it's the Airfix model rather than the later Hornby version, it's got slim tension lock couplings rather than massive ones. But that's about as far as I can take the compliments, really, because it has some problems. One of the buffers is missing. The paint job is a little on the sloppy side. Same for the inside, really. The roof has been painted grey by a previous owner. Not sure how prototypical that is, but in any case, it's got a big scratch in it now, which certainly isn't great. The bogies are currently held in place with screws, which do have a habit of undoing themselves after a few runs around the layout. On my previous layout, it didn't like radius 1 curves, so I had to carve away at the underframe so that the bogies would rotate enough. And of course, we can't forget that this is a very old tooling, so of course it's not going to match up to models designed today. So, to help fix at least some of these issues, I bought another one. Now, I know Dapol are producing a fancy new autocoach model that would solve all these problems, but that would cost more than the locomotive, and I'm not made of money. So another second-hand vintage Airfix autocoach will have to suffice. That looks a lot better. And now, finally, we can have a play with the shiny new toy and its revamped partner. As usual, I've tweaked the speed to suit my layout, and increased the acceleration and deceleration settings to make it behave a little more realistically. This has been a bit of a Christmas present for my layout, and it definitely looks at home here on my branch line terminus. If you've enjoyed watching, you can show your appreciation and support by hitting the like button down below, and maybe leave me a friendly comment. As for that scenery, I've been too busy playing trains to make any more progress on that, so that'll have to wait for my next video. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that exciting instalment. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.